A major AEW name has been released, plus Randy Orton's SmackDown plans have been revealed, and WWE bans Jey Uso from saying YEET. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. YEET, indeed. More on that in a minute.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk AEW, where a major name from the behind the scenes of the company, someone that's been there for a long time, Fraser Porter, has said farewell.
Yeah, we're talking about the Vice President of Post-Production, Kevin Sullivan, a man who's been with AEW since 2019. He's been there a very long time, since the inception of AEW, pretty much. But unfortunately, he has departed the company.
Now, Sullivan previously worked with Impact Wrestling before joining AEW, and as we've said, the very early days of the company, he was one of the guys that was directing the feel and the vibe and the energy of those AEW TV shows. A lot of people backstage very surprised by his departure. A lot of questions as to why he was let go, but the general consensus seems to be, well, it's a very different company to the one that started.
That's the thing, yeah, the whole look of the company is different. You've got a whole different vibe to the TV shows. A lot of people saying, as much as QT Marshall was saying the other week that it's going more New Japan like, I think the general consensus is it's going more WWE like, and I think maybe that's played a part in this here, maybe trying to, we don't know how this is, how the release has happened or the departure has happened in general, but it does look like it's a completely different company in terms of style, in terms of how it is. Of course, the Wrestling Observer saying he was highly thought of, so it seems it's a bit of a weird one to get rid of, but maybe they're just looking to freshen things up.
And the Observer also credits him as the guy that basically built the post-production team that exists now. So no doubt this will be somebody new steps into that role. And whenever somebody new steps into a role like that, there's always changes.
There's always changes and big things happen. And I'm sure that things will be done slightly differently, or things, they may go for a continuity candidate, and where it's a case of where they go with someone to keep the vibe of what he was doing, but you would expect there to be little changes, like, I wonder how much of an impact we will notice on AEW TV, and that'll be one to keep an eye on for sure.
Incidentally, phrase of the day, continuity candidate. Now, Randall Keith is back. Daddy's home. Brand new t-shirt available now. Possibly the best he has ever looked.
Yeah.
Phenomenal performance so far.
He's a big boy.
He is.
He is looking large, I must say.
And in charge. Fievel Select say the WWE have been very happy with Randy Orton's return, his conditioning, and his performance thus far. Hard to deny, we've already seen a snippet of him, and we've not seen him go any real long distance matches apart from that one with Dirty Dom, but I think he's looking better than ever.
Looks great. He looks like his 2011 WWE All-Stars model come to life. It's actually quite worrying that this man, he has become bigger than this over-the-top caricature. He is massive. How has he done that? Well, how has he done that?
Through good conditioning.
Yes.
Now, in terms of what is next for Randy Orton, obviously he's moved over to SmackDown, but Fife will give us some details on what he could be doing while he's there.
They have indeed. The report says that his next path obviously seems clear. We saw this on SmackDown, but it looks like it's going to be the Bloodline. The report going on to say there's a lot more that indicates him being prepared for such on both Raw and SmackDown in the past week. Michael Hayes has been the one producing for Randy Orton. Michael Hayes obviously helps with the Bloodline stuff, so there's a lot of overlap there in terms of maybe what they're wanting to do with him in the future.
So if the plan, Fraser Porter, was to put him on SmackDown, why was he on Raw last week?
It's a very good question, Tom. Well, it continues by saying there's two reasons for this. Again, Fightful Select coming at us hot with this one. They wanted to capitalise off the buzz from his return at Survivor Series and wrap up some of the storyline loose ends. It says that WWE wanted to get closure with Orton and Jey Uso, as they've long been attempting to position him as a babyface on the Raw side. Speaking about Jey Uso there. However, they wanted to neatly tie up that storyline with a history referenced on WWE TV numerous times, and they also give a bit of closure at the Judgment Day stuff with Randy Orton as well.
Now, you mentioned this on the news over the weekend, that one of the names considered for Roman Reigns' opponent at the Rumble is Randy Orton.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
How do we feel about a Roman-Randy match at the Rumble?
It's very exciting because Randy Orton, as we've mentioned there, and as the report says, WWE is very happy with his conditioning, his look. He now feels like quite a big threat to the title, which I think many of us going into any pay-per-view that isn't Premium Live Event, that isn't WrestleMania, and isn't against Cody Rhodes, will all think he's not dropping the title. However, if there's anyone that can challenge that notion, it's Randy Orton. And I think him versus Roman Reigns in 2024, that sounds horrible to say because it's 2024 soon, Tom. It will be a very, very good match. And I think there's no one better apart from maybe LA Knight, but we've seen that. Give us that fresh matchup in Randy Orton.
It's funny how we're saying it, Randy Orton and Roman Reigns is a fresh matchup.
Fresh matchup, right?
Something you wouldn't have thought 10 years ago.
A match that probably happened many, many times on a random episode of Raw, but we're likely getting this one at the Royal Rumble. I would also, for me personally, and I said it on the news at the weekend, I'd throw AJ Styles into the mix and make it a triple threat because we saw some history there, but you could also stretch that out to the next premium live event.
You've got to keep Roman busy until Mania, some way, shape or form. CM Punk, as we've discussed in the last week or so, potentially one of those that could also be keeping Roman Reigns busy. It was revealed on Raw that CM Punk was indeed a free agent.
We should have signed him to a contract.
I'd have signed him. We should have, shouldn't we?
He's unsigned. CM Punk isn't signed anywhere. No, he's signed with WWE.
Andrew Bowers, why didn't you sign CM Punk to North Wrestling?
God.
Honestly.
Sitting about as a free agent.
It's disgusting. Grizzled Young Veterans in Newcastle on Saturday at North Wrestling. Tickets still available for Anarchy Brewery. Just thought I'd chuck that in there. On SmackDown, CM Punk will be given offers. He will be courted by Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. Now, I don't want to give too much of the game away, but PW Insider have said that Punk has already been announced for Raw next week. So I think we know what the crack is.
I think this SmackDown, they're trying to position him as the belle of the ball, the Punk of the party, but then we'll move over to Raw and Adam Pearce will likely give him the contract that he signs. The money match is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. The other money match is Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. There's so many matches on Raw that make sense for CM Punk rather than going to SmackDown. As much as maybe SmackDown does need that star power. They've got, and me and Sam mentioned it at the weekend. We were on the news. We went, SmackDown's got a pretty good upper roster, but actually, thinking about it, Raw is stacked. Does Raw need CM Punk? Let us know in the comments below. I would rather see him on Raw, but I think he maybe helps SmackDown more.
It's a spicy month for December, or as we call it, Doc-sember.
We do indeed call it Doc-sember, Tom. We've got so much documentary content. We had the rise and fall of Alberto Del Rio go up at the weekend, and also the big, beefy, girthy, meaty documentary that is WWE's Golden Era Part 1. That went on the channel on Sunday. It is massive. Matt Stewart, Justin, and Sam have all been working incredibly hard on it.
Mad love to Matt Stewart, Justin Henry, and Sam Driver, who have been working on the project that you're going to see over the next 3 weeks for about a year in terms of putting this together, writing it, voicing it. We are so proud of this. And you know what? If you would love us to do more, watch them, share them. Maybe, if you feel like you're in a position to, support us on Patreon and we can make them more.
Patreon.com/Cultaholic.
Absolutely. But hey, look, if nothing else, check it out. It's an amazing piece of work. And I'm a wrestling fan of a certain vintage and I learned stuff about the Golden Era.
Absolutely. I've some of that stuff didn't even know at all.
No.
Sam, they've educated us. They have indeed.
Now we'll end on some sad news for Jey Uso fans, as we will be
sad yeet.
Sad yeet intensifies as Yeet is yeeted from WWE's future programming. But why, Fraser Porter? Why?
Well, this comes from WrestleVotes. They said the reason, as evident, just seen on Raw just now with the being blurred out on his t-shirt, the yeet, is because there's been a trademark. They found a trademark associated with the word. They can't use it going forward. And this sucks because it was over. When he was throwing punches, the crowd can still do it, but when he was throwing punches, the crowd was shouting yeet. He was saying yeet in promos. It felt very natural. It didn't feel forced. And it really sucks that there's been a trademark by the indie wrestler Casey Huffman. But of course, you do have to respect trademarks.
100%.
So props to Casey Huffman for having those trademarks already. And it sucks that their trademark has been breached. But yeeting intensified. It was so good.
And I'm sure that the crowds at WWE shows will respect this trademark infringement and will never say yeet again.
Definitely not.
That will never happen.
They'll just start dabbing instead, Tom.
One would hope. Let's bring that back.
Just a silent crowd of dabs.
Every tiny punches.
Yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need.
This behind me is Succubus. Right? So Succubus is a social media sensation. She's been doing wrestling training for a year or so now. She has over 100,000 Instagram followers.
Wow.
She has over 30 million views on TikTok.
Wow.
She's only ever had one match. An amazing story, and that is an exclusive on our podcast feed. I had a great chat with Succubus. It's on our podcast feed. You can check it out. If you're a Patreon, you can watch it as well. It's at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And for the latest wrestling news throughout the day, of course, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.